ਔਰ ਜਿਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਨਾਲ ਅਸੀਂ ਵਾਅਦਾ ਕੀਤਾ ਸੀ ਕਿ ਤੁਹਾਡੀ ਗੱਲਬਾਤ ਕਰਾਵਾਂਗੇ ਬਰੈਂਪਟਨ ਦੇ ਮੇਅਰ ਪੈਟਰਿਕ ਬਰਾਊਨ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ। ਦੋ ਤਿੰਨ ਬੜੇ ਅਹਿਮ ਇਸ਼ੂਜ਼ ਨੇ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਬਰੈਂਪਟਨ ਬਾਰੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨਾਲ ਗੱਲਬਾਤ ਕਰਨੀ ਹੈ। ਤੋਂ ਸਭ ਤੋਂ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਦਾ ਵੈਲਕਮ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ। Mayor, welcome to Parvasi TV and at Top 8 at 8, our special show every night. So welcome at Top 8 at 8.
It's always a pleasure to be on with Parvasi.
Okay, thank you so much. Okay, so our premier made a couple of very important announcements regarding stay-at-home restrictions, and one of them was that now police force will have different police forces will have this authority. They can stop people, they can ask where they are going, from where they are coming. There was a backlash on that all over the province, and similarly regarding kids going out in the playgrounds. Many parents were not happy with that, and you also tweeted, and the provincial government immediately retracted their both the decisions yesterday. There's a lot of confusion going on, and sometimes the provincial government is giving any instruction, and by the time it reaches to people, it's changed. So tell us more about these two instructions by the provincial government, and now they have to backtrack on both of them.
Well, let me first say that I am grateful the provincial government listened. It's one thing to make a mistake. It's another thing to make a mistake and not accept that you've made an error. I appreciate the provincial government has corrected course so quickly, and they've listened to the legitimate concerns that were raised. On the first issue of policing, police don't have the right to arbitrarily detain an individual, and random spot checks have that's a technique of the past. We no longer allow carding in Canada and in Peel region, and so I'm glad that the Premier recognized that's an overbreadth, and give credit to our police union. They came out and said that they weren't going to be part of this because it's against the Charter of Rights and Freedoms. It's not constitutional, and that they said their officers would not break the Charter of Rights and Freedoms. And so, good on Adrian Woolley and the Peel Police for speaking out on this before the government reversed decisions. Secondly, in terms of the playgrounds, the medical advice has been clear. Being outdoors is the best thing you can do right now. Where we see the virus transmit is in indoor environments, and the notion that you'd be closing parks and sports fields, that's not what the medical advice is. And I want decisions that are made based on science. Our ICU is filled with people who are sick because of cases that they got in factories, in warehouses. We don't have a single case of playground transmission. So instead of focusing time on trying to criminalize parents going to the playground with their kids, let's focus on the warehouses and the factories where we have 6,000 employees in some cases crammed together. Let's stand up for those essential workers. Let's think of how we can support them. These issues on the side are a distraction. I want to focus, what are we going to do to protect our essential workers?
Okay. In spite of all those restrictions, all those measures, numbers are not decreasing in Peel, and every day we are seeing around 700, 800, sometimes 900 cases in Peel. Overall, if we see, there are 740 ICU beds are occupied, 500 people are on ventilators. So situation is very scary in whole province, and particularly Peel is also same like that.
Well, if we keep on taking the same old approach, we're not going to get different results. Case numbers are going to continue to be high. We know where the transmission is happening. It's happening in these factories and the warehouses. Until we vaccinate essential workers, we're going to continue to have high numbers of transmission. We need to vaccinate essential workers. And so I was pretty clear a few weeks ago in my press conference. They asked me, what are 3 things you need to get the situation under control? And I said, vaccinate essential workers, vaccinate essential workers, vaccinate essential workers. And they said 3 weeks ago, we're going to do that. We're going to send vaccines. Well, we're still waiting. I need our essential workers vaccinated. That's the only way you're going to get this under control.
Okay. Recently, Prime Minister offered help to Premier Ford. He declined. I just heard a news that Prime Minister has again said that federal health workers and from other provinces, they can be deployed in Ontario. I don't know what the government of Ontario is going to take decision about that. Premier is saying we need vaccines. So what is the situation of vaccines in Ontario, I mean in Peel and particularly in Brampton?
Well, I appreciate the Prime Minister's offer. And if healthcare workers are accompanied with vaccines, that can make a big difference. I think right now they're not offering more vaccines, they're offering the people to put the vaccines in the arms. And what we really need is vaccines. Right now, Canada has not done a great job when it comes to procurement. You know, if you look at the U.S. compared to Canada and vaccination levels, it's embarrassing. You know, Canada, a country as prosperous as Canada, you know, we should have done a better job on procurement. You look at some of these states where everyone, you know, pretty much 18 and over has been vaccinated, and here we are in Canada still doing over 50. We need more. We need more vaccines, and I'm told from the Minister of Procurement, Anita Anand, that we're going to be getting more vaccines soon, but it can't happen soon enough. I need those vaccines right now. We're doing about 12,000 vaccines a day in Peel, but that's all we get. We have the capacity to do 70,000. So people say that supply is not an issue. They're out for lunch. They're out to lunch. 12,000 a day, and we can do 70,000, which means I need another 58,000 vaccines a day in Peel region.
Okay, we have heard that we have 7 spots, hotspots in Brampton. Other than lockdown, stay at home or vaccination, any other measure in your mind how we can reduce them?
Back to what I was saying before, we know where the transmission is happening. We've had over 200 workplace outbreaks. The outbreaks are happening in food processing plants and transportation logistics companies. They're happening in our warehouses and factories. And until we focus our efforts on where the transmission is happening, it's not going to work. And the analogy I've used, Rajinder, is imagine you're the fire chief in Brampton and someone calls and says, we've got a fire at this house on this street. They're going to send the fire trucks and put out the fire. They're going to get the water guns and they're going to put the fire out at the house. The approach that right now the Canadian and provincial governments are using is instead of putting the fire guns on the house on fire, they're giving a drop of water to every house in the city. And so the fire's not going out. We got to focus our resources on where we have the outbreaks.
Okay, let me remind our listeners and our viewers at this time that City Council of Brampton has offered you a defer or delay in your property tax till 15th of December. I'm sure a lot of people must have taken that advantage. Other than that, any important thing you want to share with our viewers at this time, Mayor?
Just, you know, everyone, we're still in the thick of this, and be careful. Keep your distance from others. There is a lot of variance in our community. We're going to get through this, but it's going to be a rough next 4 to 6 weeks, and we just need everyone to be extra careful. You don't want to end up at the hospital. We just got to be very careful.
Okay. Mayor Patrick Brown and his wife Janvi have been blessed with a baby daughter recently, and congratulations to both of you.
Well, thank you very much. We're elated to welcome Savannah into our home, and it's our first daughter, and the mother's doing well. Genevieve's recovering well. Theodore is excited to be a big brother. We're a very happy family right now.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. Thanks for talking to us.
Thank you.
ਇਹ ਸੀ ਸਾਡੀ ਗੱਲਬਾਤ ਬਰੈਂਪਟਨ ਦੇ ਮੇਅਰ ਪੈਟਰਿਕ ਬਰਾਊਨ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ, ਜਿਹੜੇ ਕਹਿ ਰਹੇ ਸੀਗੇ ਕਿ 12,000 ਵੈਕਸੀਨ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਆ ਉਹ ਮੈਕਸਿਮਮ ਐਵਰੇਜ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਲੱਗ ਰਹੇ ਆ, ਜਦਕਿ 70,000 ਦੀ ਕਪੈਸਿਟੀ ਹੈ ਲਗਾਉਣ ਦੀ। ਤਾਂ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ ਕਹਿਣਾ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਜਦ ਤੱਕ ਵੈਕਸੀਨ ਨਹੀਂ ਲਗਾਏ ਜਾਣਗੇ, ਔਰ ਉਹ ਵੀ ਖਾਸ ਤੌਰ ਦੇ ਉੱਤੇ ਐਸੈਂਸ਼ੀਅਲ ਵਰਕਰਸ ਨੂੰ, ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ ਕਹਿਣਾ ਹੈ ਕਿ 200 ਐਸੇ ਸਪੌਟ ਅਸੀਂ ਫਾਈਂਡ ਆਊਟ ਕੀਤੇ ਹੈ ਜਿੱਥੇ ਲੋਕ ਕੰਮ ਕਰਨ ਲਈ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਹੈ, ਵੇਅਰ ਹਾਊਸਿਸ ਨੇ, ਫੈਕਟਰੀਜ਼ ਨੇ, ਔਰ ਉੱਥੇ COVID-19 ਦੀ ਸਪਰੈਡਿੰਗ ਬਹੁਤ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਹੋ ਰਹੀ ਹੈ। ਜਦ ਤੱਕ ਇਹ ਐਸੈਂਸ਼ੀਅਲ ਵਰਕਰਸ ਨੂੰ ਵੈਕਸੀਨ ਨਹੀਂ ਲੱਗਣਗੇ, ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ ਕਹਿਣਾ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਬਰੈਂਪਟਨ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਖਾਸ ਤੌਰ ਦੇ ਉੱਤੇ ਇਹ ਨਹੀਂ ਰੁਕੇਗਾ ਕੰਮ। ਔਰ ਇਹਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਇੱਕ ਵਾਰੀ ਫਿਰ ਤੋਂ ਦੁਹਰਾਇਆ ਹੈ ਕਿ 2 ਗੱਲਾਂ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਕਿਹਾ ਜੀ ਗਲਤ ਕੀਤੀਆਂ ਸੀ ਪ੍ਰੋਵਿੰਸ਼ੀਅਲ ਸਰਕਾਰ ਨੇ। ਇੱਕ ਤਾਂ ਪੁਲਿਸ ਨੂੰ ਪਾਵਰ ਦੇ ਦਿੱਤੀ ਸੀ ਜਿਸ ਨੂੰ ਮਰਜ਼ੀ ਆਉਂਦੇ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਨੂੰ ਰੋਕੋ। ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਕਿਹਾ ਜੀ ਇਹ ਬਿਲਕੁਲ ਐਕਸੈਪਟੇਬਲ ਨਹੀਂ ਸੀਗਾ। ਤਾਂ ਬਹੁਤ ਸਾਰੀਆਂ ਜਿਹੜੀਆਂ ਪੁਲਿਸ ਫੋਰਸਿਸ ਦੇ ਚੀਫ ਹੈ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਇਹ ਸਟੈਂਡ ਲਿਆ ਕਿ ਨਹੀਂ, ਇਹ ਗਲਤ ਫੈਸਲਾ ਹੈ, ਇਸ ਕਰਕੇ ਪ੍ਰੋਵਿੰਸ਼ੀਅਲ ਸਰਕਾਰ ਨੂੰ ਫੈਸਲਾ ਵਾਪਸ ਲੈਣਾ ਪਿਆ। ਪਲੇਗਰਾਊਂਡ ਦੀ ਵੀ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਗੱਲ ਕਹੀ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਜੇ ਨੰਬਰ ਵੱਧ ਰਹੇ ਹੈ ਤਾਂ ਕੋਈ ਐਸਾ ਅੰਕੜਾ ਸਾਡੇ ਕੋਲ ਸਟੈਟਿਕਸ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈਗੇ ਪਤਾ ਲੱਗੇ ਕਿ ਪਲੇਗਰਾਊਂਡ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਕੋਈ ਕੇਸ ਆਏ ਹੈ, ਅਸਲ 'ਚ ਫੈਕਟਰੀਆਂ 'ਚ ਕੇਸ ਆ ਰਹੇ ਆ, ਹੋਰ ਥਾਵਾਂ ਤੇ ਆ ਰਹੇ ਆ, ਤਾਂ ਬੈਟਰ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਬੱਚਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਖੁੱਲ੍ਹੀ ਹਵਾ 'ਚ ਜਾਣ ਦਿਓ, ਲੋਕ ਖੁੱਲ੍ਹੀ ਹਵਾ 'ਚ ਜਾਣ, ਆਕਸੀਜਨ ਲੈਣ, ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਸਿਹਤ ਵਧੀਆ ਹੋਵੇ, ਨਾ ਕਿ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਘਰਾਂ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਡੱਕ ਦਿਓ। ਤਾਂ ਅੱਛੀ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਕਿਹਾ ਜੀ ਅੱਛੀ ਗੱਲ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਪ੍ਰੋਵਿੰਸ਼ੀਅਲ ਸਰਕਾਰ ਨੇ ਦੋਨੋਂ ਫੈਸਲੇ ਆਪਣੇ ਵਾਪਸ ਲੈ ਲਏ ਹੈ। ਔਰ ਬਾਰ-ਬਾਰ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਇਸ ਗੱਲ ਤੇ ਜ਼ੋਰ ਦਿੱਤਾ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਜਿੰਨਾ ਛੇਤੀ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਵੈਕਸੀਨੇਸ਼ਨ, ਔਰ ਉਹ ਵੀ ਸਭ ਤੋਂ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਐਸੈਂਸ਼ੀਅਲ ਵਰਕਰਸ ਨੂੰ। ਇਹ ਸੀ ਸਾਡਾ ਅੱਜ ਦਾ ਪ੍ਰੋਗਰਾਮ ਟੌਪ 8 ਐਟ 8। ਬਹੁਤ ਬਹੁਤ ਤੁਹਾਡਾ ਸ਼ੁਕਰੀਆ, ਤੁਸੀਂ ਸਾਡੇ ਨਾਲ ਜੁੜਦੇ ਹੋ। ਪ੍ਰਵਾਸੀ ਰੇਡੀਓ 10 ਤੋਂ 12 ਤੁਸੀਂ ਰੋਜ਼ 1320 ਦੇ ਉੱਤੇ ਸੁਣਦੇ ਹੋ, ਤੇ ਇਸੇ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਹੀ 1350 ਤੇ ਵੀ ਅਸੀਂ AM ਤੇ ਵੀ ਪ੍ਰਵਾਸੀ ਰੇਡੀਓ ਪਲੱਸ ਪ੍ਰੋਗਰਾਮ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਸ਼ੁਰੂ ਕੀਤਾ ਹੋਇਆ 1 ਵਜੇ ਤੋਂ ਲੈ ਕੇ 2 ਵਜੇ ਤੱਕ, ਔਰ ਵੀਕਐਂਡ ਨੂੰ ਵੀ 11 ਤੋਂ 12 ਪ੍ਰਵਾਸੀ ਰੇਡੀਓ 1320 ਤੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਪੇਸ਼ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ। ਲਾਰਜੈਸਟ ਐਥਨਿਕ ਮੀਡੀਆ ਇਨ ਦਾ ਕੰਟਰੀ ਹੈ ਪ੍ਰਵਾਸੀ ਮੀਡੀਆ ਗਰੁੱਪ, ਔਰ ਮਾਣ ਹੈ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਤੇ, ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਸਭ ਦੇ ਯਤਨਾਂ ਸਦਕਾ ਇਹ ਪ੍ਰੋਗਰਾਮ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਹੈ ਉਹ ਇਹ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਪ੍ਰਵਾਸੀ ਮੀਡੀਆ ਗਰੁੱਪ ਦਾ ਪਸਾਰਾ ਐਕਸਪੈਂਸ਼ਨ ਗਰੋਥ ਹੋ ਰਹੀ ਹੈ। ਕੱਲ ਸਾਡਾ 19 ਸਾਲ ਦਾ ਸਫ਼ਰ ਪੂਰਾ ਹੋ ਜਾਏਗਾ ਪ੍ਰਵਾਸੀ ਮੀਡੀਆ ਗਰੁੱਪ ਦਾ। ਕੱਲ ਕਰਾਂਗੇ ਉਹਦੇ ਬਾਰੇ ਗੱਲ, ਪਰ ਅੱਜ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਦਿਓ ਇੱਥੇ ਇਜਾਜ਼ਤ। ਗੁੱਡ ਨਾਈਟ।